and 4 blocks. This is the second time we had a chance to see him. You saw him on Tuesday, and pretty much the same thing Thursday, a little bit more filling out the stat sheet there. Scoot Henderson, by the way, update on him, suffered a bone bruise. He's day-to-day, so he'll be good to go. But when it comes to Wembanyama, I mean, he's catching the eyes of not only those in the college ranks, but also in the association. LeBron James called him out of this world, and then Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, he sees dollar signs with the young fella.
You know, everybody, we're labeling like this unicorn thing. Everybody's been a unicorn over the last few years, but he's more like an alien. I've never seen, no one has ever seen anyone as tall as he is, but as fluid and as graceful he is out on the floor. I mean, at 7'4" or 7'5" or 7'3", whatever the case may be, his ability to put the ball on the floor, shoot step-back jumpers out of the post, step-back threes, catch and shoot threes, block shots. He's for sure a generational talent, and hopefully he continues to stay healthy. That's what's most important.
I worry, I think I could be jinxing a player who hasn't come into the NBA yet by me anointing him as the next great one, but he certainly has all the attributes of a true game changer. I mean, the physical wherewithal, he seems to have, the mind to be a great player. He stepped up on that big stage, against Team Ignite. I know that many of our NBA teams are salivating at the notion that potentially through our lottery that they could get him, so they should all still compete very hard next season.
Well, it's not just the team, there's also the commissioner there. Join us now, Director of Scouting for 24/7 Sports, Adam Finkelstein. And of course, Adam, you heard it there, LeBron saying he's out of this world. We get it with the 7'4", 7'5" height. Nothing we've seen before. But why is Wembanyama the next big thing for the NBA?
Well, I think LeBron James and everybody just said the obvious. I mean, he's 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan. He blocks shots at an incredible rate. He shoots threes at an incredible rate. He moves effortlessly for a player his size. And on top of all that, he's got a bit of an it factor about him from a personality standpoint. I mean, when you listen to him talk, I mean, even at one point earlier in the week, before they even played a game, someone asked him about Scoot Henderson. He said, I think he would have a chance to be number one if I wasn't born. So, and he said that not as arrogantly as I may have made it sound there, but there's just an ease and a confidence with him talking about, the things that he aspires to do in the game. And if this week were any indication, he's got a chance to do every bit of it.
Of course, with him, that was the first time we've seen him in the States, his first 2 games, and definitely you can see the numbers adding up to the hype train. Of course, this is a different time. We have social media now. We have everywhere all the eyes on him, getting him over here. But when we're comparing it to a hype train of some we've seen in the past, the Yao Mings of the world or LeBron James, which one is closer to what we're seeing here for the young fella?
I think from a talent perspective, and listen, it's so hard because he's 18 years old, and regardless of what we saw this week and what scouts have seen for the last few years, he's got to stay healthy to accomplish any of this. But from a talent standpoint, this is closer to LeBron James, at least in terms of getting that generational label so early on in the process. The reason why it's somewhat similar to Yao Ming is because it's got the international eyes on it. This is not obviously a kid who grew up in the States, so he's gonna have fans and attention worldwide. But for an 18-year-old to have this type of talent, undeniable, indisputable talent. I mean, no one's gonna come on here and say he's not as good as we thought. I mean, he's what we thought and more. But he's gonna have the eyes of the whole world on him, and not just here in the States.
So when you look at the top 2, of course, we didn't see that much of Scoot Henderson, but we did see him in the first game putting up 28, and he did put on a show and actually beating Wembanyama's team in that game 1. But I'm curious, is there that much of a gap between the two at 1 and 2, or is it closer than we think?
I'll say this. I mean, I think if Wembanyama stays healthy, there's no doubt after this week that he's going to be one. Listen, LeBron James said it. You just don't see players with his size, his skill, and his grace. But Scoot has all the makings of a dynamic franchise caliber guard in the NBA if things continue to go as they have over the course of the last 18 months. And you're watching some of his highlights from Tuesday night, and he really put on a show. So I'll say this for Scoot. If he were in last year's NBA draft, I think he would have been the first pick. If Wembanyama weren't in the 2023 NBA draft, I think he'd be the first pick. But Wembanyama is going to be in the 2023 NBA draft, so he's going to be the second pick.
Let's stick with those top two there, because it's interesting that we don't get a chance to see them in the college game this upcoming year. In fact, the top five, they will not be playing in the college ranks, which is something we're not accustomed to. When you look at it, of course, breaking it down here, how does that take away from the college game of getting that or obtaining that talent to play at least overseas here with us, so as to maybe see it a little bit? The only one you see there is Nick Smith.
Yeah, so this is going to be 2023 is going to be the first time since 2006, if things go according to plan, that the top pick in the NBA draft will not come from the college basketball ranks. The roots of this were dated back a couple of years ago, where G League Ignite, Overtime Elite, really started to recruit and be able to compensate the American-born players. Wembanyama was never going to play college basketball. Just the growing up in France, he was going to play professionally in Europe until he came over to the NBA. So he is a bit, he's a different type of path regardless. But now with name, image, and likeness, if these players were to come up the ranks, now if Scoot Henderson were 2 years later, he probably could have made more money playing college basketball than he could going to the G League Ignite. He set a little bit of a new path in G League Ignite because he went before he finished high school. So he spent 2 years there. He played with Ignite last year. He had to stay for a second year because he still wasn't draft eligible. I don't know that path would be duplicated anymore. And certainly as you look right now at the top 10 prospects in the country, current high school seniors, only one of them is committed to a professional route. Everybody else, quite frankly, they're getting paid to play college basketball.
Adam, I got to let you go, but real quickly, do we have a nickname for him yet?
Wemby is what I heard, right?
Wemby.
I mean, LeBron called him the alien. I mean, greatness is what I'm going with.
All right, I'll take that. That works as well. Adam Finkelstein breaking it all down for us. Appreciate your time. Of course, we can see him going one, taking a look at some of those notable international players that have gone high in the draft board. The highest here, of course, you see Luka Doncic. Yeah, he was drafted by the Hawks, but then traded for Trey Lance. We know how that's going for the Dallas Mavericks. Looks pretty good. Trey Lance is doing pretty good as well. Others, of course, you see number one Yao Ming back in 2002. Paul Gasol, one of those vets, and Kristaps Porzingis. But hey, we might see Wembanyama as well going number one.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.